Welcome to the Midweek Reboot. I'm Mayan, and I'm really glad you're here, whether you're joining live or watching this later. So, this is a pause in the middle of the week, and the aim is to store stability midweek. My question to you is, how are you feeling today? One word to describe how are you feeling, drop it in the chat. But I'm going to challenge you a little further. When you drop your word of how you're feeling, also indicate what are you grateful for. So we don't just look at how we're feeling, but what are we grateful for? My word for this week and for today, how I'm feeling at the moment is pressured. And there's a story behind that. As we get into this live, I'll tell you why my word is pressured. And what am I grateful for? As simple as it may sound, but running water. I felt so pressured before this live, but I was able to go and have a quick shower and get ready for this live. And I just feel reinvigorated. So, those are my two words, pressured, but also just so grateful for having running water and having the shower that reinvigorated me. So, what's one word that will describe how you feeling at this very moment and one thing you're grateful for? I'd love to hear it. You can put it into the chats. I'm going to share my screen. And we've got some responses coming in. I've got the word appreciative, grateful for the people who empower and lift me up and constantly motivate me. That's so beautiful to just appreciate those around you and to get that, be empowered by others around you. That's really beautiful. Grateful as well at the same time. And that's really good to feel grateful because it also shifts how we experience things. Even though we might be tired, I've been coming across the word tired quite a bit at work. It's only February, it's 25th of Feb, and people are tired. What's going to happen in the next 10 months? So it's about, remember what I said in January? It's about pacing ourselves. Already people are feeling the exhaustion. Today I'm introducing the calm performance reset. And I'm going to go use case files. The way we will do the calm performance reset is each week I will take one real professional pressure point and we'll examine it clinically. We're not here to judge it, but to understand the mechanics behind it. And it's not about motivation, but it's about how do we rebuild the system. So each week there'll be one real scenario. If you wish me to unpack a scenario that you're going through, then please send it through to me and I will include that in one of the lives. We'll do a diagnostic of that scenario and we will look at one structural rebuild. How can we shift? How can we rebuild from where we are? And that's the thinking behind the calm performance reset. So it's not tips, but it's about how we can redo the architecture. How can we rebuild? And if you have any questions, you can also pop it in the chat. I think you can hear me, you can see my screen, so we're good to go. Case file number 1. I can't just say no. I need the income. Some of you don't struggle with boundaries because you're weak. It's not that you can't say no, but your income is linked to whatever you do. So therefore, it prevents you from saying no. And when you say no, it feels risky. You don't feel empowered, you feel exposed because it might be your source of living. And if you say no, there's implications. In this live, I'm not going to tell people to just say no because there are implications. I'm going to show you how to protect income without absorbing the chaos. So, this was submitted by a subscriber. And this is the pattern that's experienced. There's a 4 p.m. call. Now, remember, 4 p.m., you've worked the whole day. So you're tired when it hits 4 p.m. You're ready to knock off. But then here you get this call. And it's from your senior. There's a last minute urgent thing that needs to be done. And you're known to be the reliable person. You're the go-to person. If things need to be done, they'll call upon you. But you're also needing the income. So how do you respond to this? If you're an independent contractor, if you don't work, you don't get paid. If you don't take the call, it might impact future work. So you're in a quandary, a bit of a predicament. And the scenario is this is not a once off. It happens all the time. As an independent contractor myself, I can understand this dynamic because no work equals no pay. It's real. My question to you is, and you can put it in the chats, are you a permanent employee, a contractor, or a consultant? Are you a business owner? Or you're not really sure where your leverage sits? You can put it down in the chat. So my word in terms of how I felt today was pressured. Remember, I said pressured at the beginning of the live. And also, I'm an independent contractor. So this is where the story comes in. I have a unique set of skills that is employed by this client. Today, I was called in to do a video. So it was around midday. I needed to do up a video, script it, render it, and have it ready for a 3-4 o'clock dry run for one of the executives. And that was fine, that worked. But technology wasn't working with me. So, firstly, the request doesn't come last minute all the time. But today it did come at the last minute. And the client also apologized for asking me to do it at the 11th hour. So I took it on because that's a unique set of skills that nobody else has in the team. And therefore, they get me in to do that piece of work. So I did it. Technology, though, was failing me. I did the first iteration of the video. Subsequently, they wanted some changes. Now I'm sitting with doing another iteration of the video, but technology is failing me. So after this live, I need to get back and do it. So that's how pressure sometimes comes about You have a certain set of skills, you're called upon to do a piece of work. But here, this subscriber indicates the last minute urgency is all the time. So, how do you respond to that request? Especially if you're an independent contractor and if you don't work, you don't get paid. Let me look at the chats. There's an independent consultant, uncertain as to where you are. That's fine. In terms of where we each are, in terms of the role that we carry, there's different types of pressure that will come to you. This is one person scenario, but I'm sure even the person who's uncertain, you might experience pressure in different ways. And how do you respond to it, especially if income is linked to that pressure? So let's unpack this. So the real problem is the income anxiety loop. And here, just to break this down, there's disorganization upstream. The senior might be disorganized, not once, but all the time. And this is the way the person operates. Then they'll push it down the downstream and it'll end up with you. There's late urgency. It's been sitting with this person for a long time, but all the time it ends up being urgent and it's a late urgency request. You get the call to do something about it. What is your response? Will you just take the call, or would you let the person, or would you leave the person to maybe leave a message for you, or you might return the call the following day? So it depends on where you are. Usually, we might fear income instability. So, therefore, we might just automatically take the call and the person will ask for whatever they want to be done. And you automatically say yes and you comply. Over time of doing the same thing, the pattern is reinforced. And this is doesn't mean you're weak. You're just responding to the perceived risk. If I don't do this, there will be repercussions. As I said earlier, your contract will be impacted. If you're a permanent employee, your promotion is at risk. If you're the reliable one, then also your identity will be looked at that you are no longer reliable. So your identity is impacted as well. And remember, when that pattern is reinforced, that automatic yes over time trains the system. The people in the system get used to you saying yes. My question to you is, when late work lands, what drives your reaction most? A, is it professional pride? B, is it fear of losing income? C, is it habit? And D, is it avoiding conflict? When late work lands on your table, what drives your reaction? I've got a response over here, the fear of losing income. So it's a very real uh, situation. You can't say no, not because you don't know how to say no. You don't say no because you fear that it will impact your income. And here it feels hard because of financial dependency. As one of the attendees indicated, there's fear of losing income. Financial dependency means your nervous system, you equate disagreement with potential income threat. If you disagree or you say no, that this will impact your income. Even if it might not be real, it is still perceived, and that feels real. There's power imbalance. So more often than not, the person that's making that request is usually somebody that's higher than you or somebody that owns the company, one of your seniors. And they hold the authority. And that authority also links to access to your contract, to promotions, to being visible, or even workload allocation. So there's a power imbalance that makes that saying no difficult. Then there's the reputation risk. As I said, it lands on your lap because you are known as the reliable one. You will just get things done, you'll turn things around, you'll make it happen. And changing your response feels like you're risking your brand. I personally am known to deliver. No matter what, I will deliver. And if I say no, then that delivery and how I'm perceived or seen might be impacted. You're also known as the rescuer. And that identity is tied to being competent under pressure. Remember, I said you're the person that will people go to because they know that you will get things done. And also, by being a rescuer and linking your identity to that, you derive value for solving chaos, for problem solving. So, therefore, it makes it so hard to say no. A lot of the times as well, a lot of the times as well, it's not that we are overloaded with task volume. We're overloaded because you're repeatedly absorbing volatility. So, how does that volatility means unpredictability and emotional pressure? Apologies, I should have taken my phone and put it in the other room. Tasks do not exhaust us in isolation. The instability does because there's no structure. And remember, I told you I felt pressured? That's a call from work. It's 2019, something needs to be delivered. And I did indicate that I'll work on it after I finish with the live. So, as I mentioned to yourself, I will get back to it. Now, you see how pressure adds up, and that's in the moment. So, yeah, even if you can't plan for it, but it's how you react to it. At this point in time, I need to be 100% at this live because that's what I've chosen to do. And I know that I'll get back to work and I'll respond to the request that my client is still requiring from me. Okay, so why high performers become chaos absorbers? So you fix things quickly, you work fast, and you reduce friction. You're able to turn things around. You hate unfinished work. and you pride yourself on finishing work, getting things done, and you value reliability. You ensure that people can depend on you. If they are asked for you to do something, you'll do it and deliver. With high performers, it's not just 100%, it's 110% all the time. So, therefore, high performers become absorbers of chaos. My question to you is, do people come to you because you're A, strategic, B, reliable, C, you're fast, or D, you're always available? When people come to you, is it because you're strategic, reliable, fast, always available? You can put it down into the chat. It'll be interesting to see why people come to you. And sometimes when you're competent, it hides dysfunction, the dysfunction in the system. So if you continuously complete urgent work quickly, the system never experiences the cost of poor planning. It doesn't show them, or the system is not seen for the shortcomings that they have in it. The poor planning is a shortcoming. If you reduce friction, instability becomes invisible because you're taking away the friction. So they're not able to see how unstable and the system is. And if you hate unfinished work, you resolve things even when they are not yours to resolve. You take things on because you want to get things done, but it wasn't yours. So, is it possible for you to step back? And your strength becomes the buffer for somebody else's weakness. They might not have planned. They might have dropped a few balls, but you take it on as if it's your own. You are competent enough to turn it around. And this is not accusing people. This is how the system is. We recognize it for what it is. And there's some realities in terms of behavior that we need to take stock of. People come to some of you because you're strategic and you're available. So they want to get your guidance and your advice on certain things, and also because you're available. That's interesting. Let's look at income and approval. When urgency hits, you're often protecting financial stability, the relationship, and your professional reputation. So you're asking yourself, even when that call is coming through, will this affect my income? Will this affect how they see me? Will this affect future work? So, very quickly, even that is going through your mind. And that's how you have layered pressure. And as I said, as a contractor myself, I understand this tension. And sometimes you comply and you respond quickly because you want to protect that contract. And sometimes you comply because you don't want to be seen as difficult. If you're in a full time job, you might not want to rock the boat by saying no. You comply because your promotion might be in question if you don't respond and do whatever's requested of you. And the problem is when your income and you just saying yes are um, when it's fragile, it you tend to over comply because income's linked to you agreeing, and then you tend to over comply. So here's the calm performance rebuild. Not to say no, not to just absorb it, but to restructure your response. Before you automatically say yes, let's look at how we can restructure the response. First things first. Well, let me introduce the professional containment framework. So, the first thing you do is regulate first. You pause before replying, before you take the call. You don't need to just automatically take the call. And when urgency is all the time, you know exactly what they're going to give you. They're going to dump something on your lap at the last minute. So, because they're panicking, you don't need to panic because it's contagious. So, you pause before replying. You also lower your voice. If you're speaking to them, you lower your voice. You don't need to be rushed. You don't need to be pressured. If you find an email that comes onto your computer, it's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. You type slowly. And like myself, I got a call just now from my client. I can still continue with this live. And once I'm done in a few minutes, in a half an hour, I'll go and respond to that call. I'm not panicking over that call. And also, you can delay your response by 3 to 5 minutes if possible. So, your tone teaches people how to approach you. So, you don't be reactive and say, sure, I'll jump onto it. No problem, I'll stay late. You're more contained. Thanks for flagging this. What timeline are we working with? Can you see the change, the approach? It's more considered. You're not just responding with stress and pressure. The second one is you convert chaos into agreement. Instead of accepting urgency as a fact, you can ask them, what timeline are we working with? This forces clarity. It moves from rescue to negotiation. What I've also found is people will push you to do something. They'll set a timeline, but that's not the actual timeline. So you need to agree. If you get those calls, agree as to what the timeline would be. Then you also surface trade offs. If I prioritize this tonight, then X moves to Monday. So you're reprioritizing. Does that work for you? Or does that work? So it's about negotiating, prioritizing some things, deprioritizing, because you can't absorb everything. So high performance, they hide trade-offs. You want to do everything. But if you want to be a calm professional, then you need to surface trade-offs. And the fourth one is build predictability upstream. You can say, I've noticed these often come close to deadline. Would it help if we locked expectations earlier? Previously, I've mentioned as well, have expectation meetings upfront on a Monday so you know what's coming down the line. They can't just throw it on you, and everything can't be urgent if you plan properly. So you're teaching people as well, even up the ladder, as to how to plan. And again, you're not attacking personalities, you're improving the process. contractors as well can do one other thing. When you receive late requests, there can be a premium fee attached to it. If it's not normal work, it's work that you need to turn around at a short period of time. So I'm not going to talk about how you set your fees, etc. But when when you're contracting for a piece of work, usually if it's a longer term project, you have a lower rate. If it's a short period or a short project, then it's a higher rate. So you need to see, as a contractor, how can you accept chaos as part of the rate, or and how can you price it accordingly? And also, if it's last minute rescue and that becomes the standard, then is there a premium rate that needs to be considered? I'll leave that with you, and that's something that you can ponder on, because different situations calls for different approaches. So really, the professional containment framework is about calm performance. And it's not about just saying no, it's about removing that automatic yes. You need to pause, you need to regulate, you need to determine how you approach certain things and certain requests. If you have any queries, any questions, you can put it into the chat. When it actually is urgent, true urgency has these three components. Firstly, it needs to have a clear deadline. It needs to have a clear consequence. If you don't do this, this is the consequence of it. These are the ramifications. And it needs to have a clear owner. If all three are not present, it's likely convenience and not urgency. So, my question to you is this: what was the last late request you received? Did you receive, was it yesterday? When was the last late request you received? And how did you respond to it? You can put it down into the chats. And here on this slide, I'd like to reiterate the core shift is from automatic yes, you need to go into a structured yes, especially if these requests and not planning properly comes to you all the time. Then instead of just automatically saying yes, think about how you structure your yes. So, what was the last late request you received? I've got a response over here. Just today, I negotiated the deadline for tomorrow morning as opposed to end of day today. So, that to me is a considered response. Now, if you take another step back, the question is, the person wanted it at the end of day today as opposed to tomorrow. Is that person creating a deadline, their own imposed deadline? Is it a lack of planning that they could have done this previously? Is it something that they give to you at the last moment, so that you only spend a few hours on it and not the actual hours, because they know that you can turn it around? So I must applaud you as well, that instead of delivering today, you negotiated for tomorrow. But I'm going to challenge you. Could you not have indicated that you would deliver it to them the day after tomorrow? Because just delivering tomorrow means that you're going to put pressure on yourself tonight or tomorrow morning to get things done. And then that pushes things out that you may have planned. It was last moment, bad planning from their side and their clients. Now, remember I said those expectation meetings as well? If you can have those expectation meetings at the beginning of the week, is that possibly not a way of um, providing a platform to discuss what are the things that will be coming up front, as opposed to now it's Wednesday, Thursday you need to deliver. Most often than not, people will come on a Friday. I know that used to happen with my brother. On a Friday afternoon, that's when there's requests that come in. And when he's about to just log off, that's when he'll be getting the queries for him to do certain things as well. So, can we not pull that upfront, have meetings to, even if it's touch point meetings, 15 minutes, 20 minutes? What do you have that you would need me to assist you on this week? Because I have ABC planned, and that's how you can engage with your team, even your seniors. And like that, that's how you get to retrain people. Remember, we are retraining the system. And thank you. That's a great strategy. We'll try. That's perfect. Let us know how that goes for you. What this protects is your income, your nervous system, your professional reputation, and your long term sustainability. You don't burn out from one late call. You burn out from chronic volatility absorption. You are constantly absorbing the volatility in the system. And I mentioned chronic because it's there, it happens all the time. The system is used to it. And yes, it will be uncomfortable initially to train the people in the system, be it your team or higher up, or even the owners of the business, the directors in the business. It will be uncomfortable. But by you setting out certain processes, by you using this process of just regulating, and I'm going to go back to it, by just regulating first, ensuring there's agreement, there's trade offs, and you build predictability upstream, that will help you to not just absorb, but to function in a more in a better environment, in a better work environment. Are there any questions? Because I'm coming to the end of this live. And thank you to the subscriber that provided case file for the first calm performance reset, where they can't just say no, they need the income. As an independent contractor, I can relate to this. Money is attached, and our income is attached to whether you say yes or no. But again, I'm putting forward this way where you take a step back, you regulate yourself, you have a structured yes as opposed to an automatic yes. Ground yourself, determine how you're going to respond What are the implications? And then you respond accordingly instead of just absorbing it. I hope those online and those watching thereafter after this live, you found value in this. Please do send me any of your actual situations that you're going through, and I will look at how we rebuild the system. Thank you for joining me, um, and you're most welcome. Thanks. Somebody mentioned thanks for the great advice. You're most welcome. I wish you the best as we close out February. And next week we'll already be in March. If you have any topics that you'd like me to discuss on performance and burnout, please let me know. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Bye for now.